It's really what this country and democracy is about. People get to choose today.
I'm energized, yet I'm not taking anything for granted.
Yes, voters actually voting in Massachusetts. It's Election Day.
It's our favorite kind of day because we can stop pontificating and just start counting. Top Line starts right now.
Hello and welcome to ABCNews.com's Top Line. I'm David Chalian.
And I'm Rick Klein.
Each weekday we're bringing you the very latest political headlines, reporting, insight, analysis, everything you need and want to know about politics.
And it's twitter.com/the note. A good day to be on Twitter. You know the hashtags, you know how to find us. We'll be there.
There is one topic today, sir. Kick us off.
Yeah, it's a tough one today. Hubbub. The hub of the political universe is Massachusetts today. It is all about the Senate race to succeed Ted Kennedy and the Democrat Martha Coakley in a heck of a fight against the Republican Scott Brown. The race that came out of nowhere, and Republicans are feeling really good about their chances coming into Election Day. All the momentum has been on that side. A lot of folks predicting that this is going to be a Republican upset that's just going to vastly reorder the agenda in Washington.
We should mention Democrats not feeling so good about their chances today as well. We know how the two voters we saw there, Martha Coakley and Scott Brown at the top, are voting, but we are interested to watch the returns come in. The path forward. If the president wakes up tomorrow morning on the one-year anniversary of his presidency and he has lost his supermajority in the Senate and he has an entire party full of freaked-out Democrats, what does he do? Does he double down the idea of sort of defying this will of the people, if you will, and saying, no, we're going to keep going with this agenda and make the Republicans vote it down and we'll take that to the American people in November? Or, Rick, does he do a sort of humility moment? Lessons learned, I hear you, and here's the adjustment we're making. All signals from the White House are the former. I don't know if that will actually prevail as their political strategy going forward.
He might have the chance, if this goes as everyone seems to think it does, to kind of take that slice of humble pie a little bit early in the midterm election year. But that's never been the indications out of the White House. It's hard to imagine that. One question will be, does he go in front of the cameras tomorrow? Do we have a press conference maybe to mark the one-year anniversary where maybe he'll get a question or two about what to read into in Massachusetts? Plan C. Forget Plan B on health care. We are well beyond that. There are new indications that the best path forward, which would be to have the House just approve what the Senate already did in health care, appears to be dead. There is resistance on both the left and the right to that idea. And a very real possibility that health care reform as we know it would no longer be a viable option if Martha Coakley is not successful today. Which
is why I don't think any of the sort of setting of the stakes of this election is breathless from the reporters of the political universe. There is a lot here hanging in the balance. You heard Anthony Weiner, a liberal Democratic congressman from New York this morning, out there not on board with Nancy Pelosi's plan of just getting this through the House. So I think that the White House still has to draft a real path forward for healthcare if indeed they lose this race in Massachusetts. And finally, no data. Yes, check your clocks. At about 5 p.m. Eastern, you'll be able to watch the entire political universe start twitching because there are no exit polls in Massachusetts. We have no idea who's voting or why. We will rely on some turnout models from the campaigns, but mostly we're all going to watch the Associated Press tally the vote as it comes in and give us a winner at some point, but we will not be able to do that sort of delving into data that we like to do on election day.
The only thing worse than the waiting for an election day is that waiting for an election day where there are no exit polls. You know, go walk your dog, hang out with your kids, go to the gym, or just keep eating refresh like I'll be doing.
Excellent. And of course, we're going to begin up in Massachusetts today. It is the center of the political universe, and we're joined by the former chairman of the Democratic Party of Massachusetts, Phil Johnston, up there. Thank you very much, sir, for being here. We appreciate it. I guess the question I have, sure, I guess the question I want to begin with, clearly, something happened in Massachusetts over the last month or so, and I'm wondering what happened? How did you guys on the Democratic side allow it to get this close today?
Well, I guess, well, first of all, let me just say that I don't at all concede that Martha Coakley will not win this evening. I think she still has a very good shot of pulling this out, and if she does, things will be okay, both here and nationally. But I don't think there's any question that there's been a clear surge for Scott Brown in the past 2 or 3 weeks. And I think it started with the Rasmussen poll, which came out maybe 2.5 weeks ago, which showed the race, showed Martha Coakley ahead by only 9. It was in single digits.
Right.
And of course, as you know, the Rasmussen poll is not taken seriously by Democrats because we think it's a pretty right-wing leaning poll, but nonetheless, it excited and energized the Republicans nationally. And Brown was then able to raise a lot of money, national Republican money, which was not coming in prior to that. And so he's been pulling in money at a clip of about $1 million a day since then. And it's transformed the race, and then the rest has been history over the last 3 weeks. Clearly there's been a surge, and the race is very tight now.
Phil, how much of this is, you listen to a lot of national Democrats, and they're starting to get the narrative written, if Martha Coakley loses, well, she was a terrible candidate. She made all these mistakes. She wasn't on the air. She was kind of down. Is that a fair critique from your perspective?
No, I don't think so. I think that, look, she won the Democratic primary, which was, as you know, Rick, very heavily contested, particularly against Mike Capuano, who is a popular, well-known congressman here. She won that race by 19 points, and that was only a little over a month ago. And so one has to wonder what happened in that short period of time. I think there are these undercurrents among the voters right now, which we've seen, and we see today out there. I mean, I've been at the polls this morning, and there's just a lot of anger about the, quote, establishment, and because the Democrats are in charge both here in Massachusetts and in Washington, I think the anger is being directed towards us.
So
it's a dangerous situation for Democrats right now.
So if it were not for the national political environment, which one would have to sort of hang on the leader of that, President Obama, if it were not for the national political environment, Martha Coakley would be okay, you're saying, yes?
No, I don't think. I think it's a combination of, you know, I'm a great believer in Tip O'Neill's old maxim that all politics is local. And there's been a lot of problems here in the state, which of course are replicated around the country, but we have relatively high unemployment. There are a lot of home foreclosures that have taken place here. There have been scandals at the State House, and all of this has joined together with what's happened nationally and internationally to create a perfect storm for a candidate like Martha, who is an incumbent attorney general. She's an existing elected office holder. And Scott Brown has been able to portray her as a member of the Democratic establishment here in the state. I wouldn't overinterpret what happens here, even though the consequences are going to be enormously important. I wouldn't overinterpret the causes of the Brown surge from a national perspective.
What is the lesson from the national perspective, win or lose for Martha Coakley? Clearly, this has got to send shivers up the spines of Democrats, the potential for this, for even states like Massachusetts to be this closely contested.
I really think that the typical voter now thinks that everyone who is in power is in the tank to the financial interests in the country. And I think the bailout, the Wall Street bailouts had a very negative impact on people. They see those guys making more money than ever while their homes are being threatened and their jobs are being threatened. And I think there's just tremendous anger, you know, within the electorate about that, and they're right to feel that way. So I think it's a wake-up call, whether Martha wins or loses tonight. I think what's happened in the last few weeks here is a wake-up call for the Democrats, both here in Massachusetts and around the country, and I think that people will wake up and will be okay in November, so that's a silver lining to all of this.
And just very quickly, in our final 30 seconds with you, tomorrow morning, when the president wakes up on the one-year anniversary, you say that we shouldn't overinterpret the causes of how this race got so close. But does he need a dose of humility with the American people here, or do you think he should sort of say, wow, the fight is on, fully engaged, and take on sort of the partisan warfare for 2010? What do you want to hear out of him?
Yeah, I think this is a fight. And I think that Barack Obama is on the right side of the fight, and I think that he needs to continue to push even more strongly his populist agenda, which is to take on the banks, take on the special interests, take on the health health issue and don't drop the health reform issue. I think most people are going to, at the end of the day, it would be a disaster if we didn't have some success in that. So I think he needs to keep doing what he's been doing, but doing it even more aggressively.
Thank you very much, sir. Phil Johnson, former chair of the Massachusetts Democratic Party. We appreciate you being here today. Happy Election Day to you. Good luck.